Welcome to the Archive Network. I'm Aurelius, and with me, as always, Malik. We curate the Treaty Archive. Today, we open a new file. Treaty of Versailles, 1919. Malik, you've had this one on your desk for a while. A continent in ruins. Millions dead. And old empires toppled. The guns of World War I have fallen silent, but the peace to come could define the fate of nations for generations. France, scarred and battered, serves as a vivid reminder. The northern countryside is a wasteland where fields once flourished, now churned into mud and memories.
France's devastation is profound, but we must not overlook the human cost. Beyond the landscapes, families mourn sons and fathers lost to the brutality of machine guns. The scars run deep, affecting communities in ways that statistics can't capture. Victorious yet exhausted, Britain feels the weight of a lost generation haunting its towns and cities.
And yet, Britain remained untouched by the war's destruction. The empire, however, was not free from loss. It faced war, debts, and an uncertain future. In contrast, the United States entered late, its homeland unscathed, yet it too felt the burden of responsibility. Wilson viewed this wreckage as an opportunity to reshape the global order.
Opportunity? Or maybe just a naive vision? Wilson wanted to make the world safe for democracy, but his idealism collided with the painful realities of Europe. The wounds from the war were still fresh. His lofty goals might have missed the deep-seated resentment simmering among nations. Germany, once a powerhouse, now found itself painted as the villain, a scapegoat waiting for its fate. It's hard to overlook the human cost behind those political decisions.
Germany was in a tight spot, no doubt about it. Defeated and bearing the weight of blame, its people were grappling with hunger and hardship. The armistice may have silenced the guns, but the road to peace was anything but smooth. Meanwhile, the victors convened in Paris, eager to prevent another disaster. Yet, their plans were tangled in a web of fear and anger, each nation driven by its own ambitions, often at the expense of genuine reconciliation.
And here we see a fundamental disconnect. The victors sought safety through punishment. But how does that really ensure lasting peace? The seeds of future conflict were being sown right in the very walls of Versailles. More than 30 nations sent delegates to the table, yet 3 men would dominate the discussions. It's heartbreaking to think that while they spoke of stability, they overlooked the human cost. Lives were at stake, and the voices of many were drowned out by a few.
Clemenceau, Lloyd George, and Wilson each embodied distinct visions shaped by their national experiences and aspirations. Clemenceau, having endured the scars of invasion, was driven by a fierce demand for security and vengeance. For him, it was essential that France never again faced the specter of German aggression. Lloyd George, on the other hand, had to carefully navigate public outrage while recognizing the necessity of stability. He understood all too well the dangers of completely crushing Germany, which could lead to chaos rather than peace.
Stability at what cost? Lloyd George's desire for moderation clashes with the urgent calls for reparations from France and Belgium. Their economies are in ruins, and everyday people are suffering. Clemenceau's push for retribution could deepen the wounds and spark a cycle of resentment. It's not just about numbers on a ledger. It's about lives disrupted and futures uncertain. This isn't merely a negotiation. It's a potential recipe for another devastating conflict.
The stakes were high, and we all knew it. Each demand had the potential to unravel the fragile hope for peace we had clung to. The Russian Revolution had changed the game entirely, toppling old regimes and fueling fears that rippled across Europe. It wasn't just about reparations. It was about redefining alliances and borders on a continent that had lost its balance. We were standing at a crossroads, where the future of nations hung in the balance, and every decision mattered.
And amidst this chaos, new nationalist movements surged like wildfires. Old rivalries re-emerged, complicating every negotiation in ways that felt personal to those involved. The delegates in Versailles weren't just bargaining over land or resources. They were shaping a future, brimming with uncertainty and fear. Each decision made in those grand halls could spark unrest in one corner of Europe, or lay the groundwork for stability in another. It was a heavy weight on their shoulders, knowing the human costs behind every choice.
The world was watching closely, eager for a settlement but deeply fearful of the potential fallout. The gilded halls of Versailles were about to echo not just with ambition, but also with palpable anxiety. As delegates shuffled papers and exchanged nervous glances, the outcome remained shrouded in uncertainty. What would emerge from this cauldron of discord? Would they forge a lasting peace, or would their efforts spiral into chaos? History would soon reveal the answer. But, for now, we held our breath.
The stakes really can't be overstated. The diplomats must tread carefully. Every conversation, every decision they make, could tip the delicate balance of power. Let's hang in the balance, and we can't forget the people affected by these choices. The doors to Versailles are about to open. What happens inside those grand halls will resonate far beyond their walls, shaping the futures of countless families and communities. We need to be aware of the human cost behind every move.
Yes, Malik. The world finds itself at a crossroads. In the aftermath of war, ambition and anxiety are entwined like old friends. The fate of Europe, and perhaps the entire globe, hangs delicately in the balance as delegates gather in their grand halls. We're on the brink of a new order, one whose shape remains uncertain. History teaches us that in moments like these, decisions can echo for generations, shaping the core of nations.
That's where we leave it for now. Part 1 of 5, Treaty of Versailles, 1919, is far from done. If you're new here, we're Aurelius and Malik, curators of the Treaty Archive, part of the Archive Network. Part 2 drops soon.